Hi everybody. If you've been following my channel for a while, I'm sure that you would know who I am by now. My name is Nanika Edwards and I'm from Trinidad and Tobago in the Caribbean. Here, as you can see on the screen, there is a basket of flowers, a lovely bouquet, a lovely tropical bouquet in a basket. And this is actually a photo that features in one of my books. It's called Tea and Tea in Poetry, a rainbow collection. It's a wonderful repository. It's a wonderful collection of poems about Trinidad and Tobago, and it's available on Amazon. Now, in this video, I'm going to be sharing a Trini saying. Actually, it's more a Tobago saying, I want to believe. I think it's more a saying that comes from the island of Tobago specifically. Please feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. Anyway, this is the saying. And it's in Trini Creole English or Creole English, and I guess I'd have to say maybe Tobago Creole English. I'm not too sure how to define it in this case, but it is Creole. It is in Creole English, which is our form of English here in the Caribbean. Each island has their own form of Creole English, but they're fairly similar, with some slight variations between or among the different islands, right? So, anyway, here is the saying or the proverb: one does full basket. One does full basket. One does full basket. Do you think you can figure out what that means? One does full basket. Well, what it really means is if you take things one step at a time, you'll get there. One step at a time, and you'll get where you're going. So, for example, when you look at this basket of flowers, you can see that there are lots of different flowers in this floral arrangement. And of course, they did not just appear poof by magic just like that. No, the floral arranger, the florist or the floral arranger had to had to take different steps to put this beautiful arrangement together. First of all, she had to get a basket. Then she would have had to source the flowers, get the flowers. Then one by one, oh, and not only flowers, we're seeing leaves in there as well, different types of leaves. So she would have had to take all of those different elements and one by one, very carefully, she put this arrangement together until you had this beautiful piece of artistry. So one does full basket means little by little and you'll get there. It may seem like something's going to take a long time to do. You may have a project to do for school, or you may have some kind of event to prepare for, and it may seem like a big thing at first. But the best thing to do is to take things one step at a time. Maybe even break things up into chunks of to-do items. And once you take them one at a time, you'll find that the whole big task will become a little easier. So that's what one does full basket means. Even if you think about it in terms like if you change basket for bucket, and somehow I feel you could also say one does full bucket. I'm not too sure if it's basket or bucket. I think it's basket, but I suspect that you could probably replace basket with bucket as well. One does full bucket, right? If you want to improvise, one does full bucket, or one does full basket. But for example, if you think of somebody wanting to fill a bucket For example, here in Trinidad, in some areas, I would say probably in most areas, sometimes we don't have a regular supply of water all the time. Most times, for most places, we get water on certain days. So on some days, I find myself, some days, not usually, but on some days, I would find myself rushing to fill containers, fill bottles, fill buckets with water, right? Just to make sure that we have enough water for the time or the day when we know that we're not going to have a supply of water. So let's say I set about doing this a little too late, but I want to get as much water as I can, even at some late stage in the game, so to speak. I could put a bucket under a dripping tap, for example. Let's say the water has been reduced to a trickle and then to a drop. I could put a bucket under a dripping tap, and little by little, the bucket would fill, but it would surely fill. I could spin around twice, three times, four times, 10 times, doing other things while the bucket is filling. 10 minutes later, when I come back, 15 minutes later, the bucket might be full. So, one. One may seem small, but every little thing adds up. That's what this saying means. Another way of saying this in English is slow but steady wins the race. Slow but steady wins the race. Do you know what story this comes from? Because it does come from a story, and a well known classical one at that. That's right, it's one of Aesop's fables. Do you know Aesop's fables? Have you ever heard of the story of the tortoise and the hare? The tortoise and the hare. Yes, that's right. Have you ever heard of that? You know, the story of the race between the tortoise and the hare? You should read it. If a tortoise and a hare decide to go a race against each other, who do you think is going to win? Well, if you want to find out, you should definitely check out that story if you haven't already. Yes, in the story of the tortoise and the hare, a proud, arrogant hare and a wise yet humble tortoise ended up racing each other to see who would get to the finish line first, of course, because that's what a race is about. I don't want to give away what happened in the end. No spoiler alerts. No spoiler alerts necessary now. But needless to say, this story is a really good example of one does full basket, little by little, and you'll get there. One does full basket also reminds me of a Chinese proverb. I wonder if you've ever heard it. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Doesn't that make sense? Imagine if you have to run a marathon, a really long marathon. If you think of how much you have to run to get to the end of the race, you might feel overwhelmed. You might feel like, my goodness, how can I ever do this? But if you just take it one step at a time, you just think of, okay, I just have to put one step in front of the other, take it one step at a time, just keep going, pace myself. You'll find that after some time, you would have covered a significant distance without even realizing it. So, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. And yep, it's a Chinese proverb. One does full basket. The next time you have a big project or a significant task to undertake, and to realize, say this to yourself, encourage yourself, motivate yourself. 1 does full basket. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, thank you for giving it a thumbs up. And if you would like to get notifications when new content is shared, then please do subscribe. And I would also like to let you know that there is a lot of content that you can find if you check the playlist section of this channel, and you would see different categories of material and educational resources that you can enjoy and that you can benefit from. So that's it for this video. Until next time.